Hey everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Hope you all are doing happy and doing blessed and doing overall safe. Welcome to your Geek Report for this week. Before I started getting into my Geek Report, I just want to kind of let y'all know that I have been doing some improvements to my setup. As you can see here, I put in some LED lights and I'm going to be testing these out over the coming weeks, and they do change colors. So there's blue and green and red. If I can forget. And there's red and of course white. And I could also do like pinks and purples and stuff. So over the coming weeks, this is something I'm going to be playing with, just kind of getting a handle on. But anyway, welcome to your Geek Report for the week of February the 26th through March 4th, 2024. We're going to start in our TV and movie news, and we've got some news out of the third Tron movie that's currently in production. As you know, there was the original Tron from the 80s. And then back in 2010, we had Tron Legacy. And now we got a new Tron that's in production called Tron Ares. We're going to kind of find out some information about this, look at the first production photo, and I'm just going to kind of give you my overall impressions of it. In other news, the John Wick spinoff Ballerina has been delayed by 1 year to June 6, 2025, and is being replaced by the Crow remake. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. Over in gaming news, we're getting another Terminator game, and this is an open world Terminator game called Terminator Survivors, and it dropped a trailer this week. Also in the gaming news, about 2 weeks ago, I talked about Respawn doing a Mandalorian game. Well, apparently that game has been canceled now, and we're going to try to find out what we could have gotten with this Mandalorian game, and whether or not it's a good thing it's been canceled or a bad thing, and just what's going on with Star Wars games in general. Just basically my overall impressions of Star Wars games in general. Finally, we got some anime news. This past week in anime news, we got news that One Punch Man dropped a season 3 trailer. Now, we've not heard a whole lot about One Punch Man for a really long time. Okay. Last time I heard anything about One Punch Man was season 2. All right. The end of season 2, which was a couple of years ago. So to finally get a One Punch Man season 3 trailer is a good thing. Okay. It lets us know they are continuing with One Punch Man. And finally, to kind of top everything off, last week I wanted to talk about this, but I wanted to really confirm it. But Gun Gale Online, the spinoff of the popular anime Sword Art Online, released a first image of season 2. I'm going to take a look at that image, just kind of glean what I can from it, and also kind of give you some impressions of what all I want to see in the next season of Gun Gale Online. So sit back, relax, grab yourself something to eat, grab yourself something to drink, and let's look at the Geek Report for the week of February 26th through March 4th, 2024. Okay, so let's get started with our TV and movie news. And our next bit of news is from Disney. And in honor of that, we're going to the blue light, if I can ever get to work. And that is coming out of the world of Tron. Now, Tron is a series of movies that started in 1982. You first had the original Tron that starred Jeff Bridges. Then you had the sequel, Tron Legacy, which came out in 2010. And now you got a new movie that is in production called Tron Ares. Now, look at this is the first production still from Tron Ares, and it's starring Jerry Leto. And supposedly, the tagline for this series is that a computer program goes into the real world and is met by humans in the first contact between humans and AI beings. Okay, which ain't really true because Sam Flynn and his father Frank Flynn had contact with programs inside the grid in the first two movies. So I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, this here's the first production still of the new movie Tron Ares. And first off the bat, you can see that this is the production still of a bad guy. So if this is Jared Leto's character, he's going to be a villain. And the reason we know that is because in the Tron series, the bad guys have always been red. Okay, whether they were viruses, whether they were corrupted, whatever they were, they were always red. Any force that went against the users or went against the system was colored red. Okay. And as you can see here, there is a whole lot of red in this production still right here. Okay. There is a ton of red. Okay. Now, there's something else I've also noticed. Tron Ares, which we now know is the working title. Okay. We now know that Tron Ares is the working title of this film. And it got me thinking about that. So I kind of went and did some research. Okay. So this here is Ares, the god of war. Okay. Just like in Tron Ares, Ares, the god of war. And he's from Greek mythology. And it says here, Ares is the god of war, one of the 12 Olympian gods and the son of Zeus and Hera. In literature, he represents the violent and physical untamed aspect of war, which is in contrast to Athena, who represents military strategy and generalship as the goddess of intelligence. Okay. So let's say, for instance, that they are going to continue playing off the whole Greek mythology thing. Okay. So I'm seeing this right now. Okay. Maybe that will change with a trailer or something, but this is what I'm seeing in terms of the story. So, first off, we know that Ares goes into the real world based on the tagline. And I believe now that he is coming to wage war. Okay. That Ares is coming to wage war in the real. So, assuming that's what's going to happen, okay, how do I see this story going? All right. So, I see that Ares is coming into the real world to wage war against humanity. Okay. Maybe he's left over from what happened in 2010's Legacy. Maybe he was the last of Clue's army and he became a general, whatever, you know. But I personally think that Ares was probably a program created to wage war. Okay, maybe some type of military program, maybe a program created by whoever to wage war. Heck, it could be heck. You can even go further down that rabbit hole and say that Ares was a program created to be part of a game to make war more realistic. Okay, you can even go that far down to the rabbit hole. Okay, so assuming that this is where we're going with Ares, okay, that Ares is coming into the real world to wage war, okay, that maybe he's the only one who comes into the real world. And he needs a way to open up a doorway to the grid to allow the rest of his army to come through and wage war, okay. But that's his sole purpose is to wage war in the real world, okay. I see this going a couple of ways. So if you go back, let me go back here. If you go back to what is said about Ares from Greek mythology, okay, it said here that whereas Ares represented the physical and untamed aspects of war, whereas Athena, his sister, represented military strategy and generalship, as well as intelligence. Okay, so if you go back to that, that gives us a clue of a possible storyline. So one possible storyline that I'm seeing, okay, is that Ares comes into the real world, okay. He brings along Athena, okay. Maybe she comes willingly, maybe she sneaks to stop him, whatever, okay. Anyway, Athena comes with him, okay, a program called Athena. And the two of these fight in the real world to stop a war or to create a war in the real world versus the grid, which is the computer world. Okay. Secondly, let's keep going down this Greek rabbit hole and say that, let's say Athena comes with Ares to the real world. While Ares is going out trying to start war, with the grid, trying to bring his forces from the grid into the real world, Athena goes and seeks out Sam Flynn, the user. Okay. She goes and she seeks him out. Okay. Because remember, in Legacy, 2010's Tron Legacy, Sam Flynn and Cora, a program from the grid, escaped the grid and survived. Okay. So let's say Athena knows this. She goes out and she tries to find Sam Flynn one way or another. Okay. And Sam Flynn, Cora, and Athena have to go and stop Ares from opening a portal to the grid and bringing his army forth. Okay. Now, finally, let's say that at the end of 2010's Tron Legacy, Sam had a way to detect the doorway, okay? Had a way to detect when something was coming from the grid and going to the grid. Let's say one day his alarm goes off, telling him, hey, something's come from the grid. He's got to go out there and try to find Ares, which is this program now in the real world, and stop him with Cora, okay? So I see that happening. But I think my personal feeling as of right now, looking at this and reading about Ares and all that, is that we're going to see something like this. Ares finds a way into the real world. Maybe something left over from Frank Flynn when he died in Tron Legacy. Maybe something that Sam Flynn left behind. Something, okay? He finds a way to get into the real world. There's going to be another program called Athena. Athena comes with him. And one way or another, either with the help of Sam Flynn and Cora or without, she has to stop Ares from launching a war between the grid and the human world. Okay? Because the fact that they're calling this Tron Ares tells me they're taking a lot of inspiration from Greek mythology already. Okay? That they are going to have a program called Ares come to the real world. And more than likely, he's going to be some type of war program. Maybe he's going to be a program from a video game that is only designed to make war realistic. He could be something from the military, where the military created this program called Ares, and all he knows is war, okay? And that's what he's designed to do, and he wants to bring war from the grid to the real world, okay? To show everyone what war is. And Athena, if they have an Athena, but I think they will, because you can't have the aggression without the knowledge, okay? So Athena comes to the real world and sees that it ain't worth starting a war with the real world, and she tries to stop Ares one way or the other with the help of the Flynn and Cora, or maybe just by herself, okay? Now she'll probably have a few human allies, okay? That's where I see this going, okay? But I think that if they do the whole Athena and Ares storyline, they got to mention Flynn in it. They got to mention Sam Flynn. They got to mention Cora. You can't do this without them, okay? Because at the end of Tron Legacy, okay, Frank Flynn, Sam Flynn's father, died, okay? He's the one who discovered the grid. He's the one who designed the machine that allows you to go into the grid and out of the grid. He did all that back in the 80s in the original Tron. So you can't do this movie without mentioning Frank Flynn, Sam Flynn, Cora, what happened before with Clue, and Tron. You can't really do it without them. And I think that's really important that they do mention Frank Flynn. They do mention Sam Flynn, Cora, Clue, Tron, all that. Okay. I think that is really important. And I noticed another thing. And, if you look back, there's a spot missing on his back right there. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because, well, in the Tron movies, they had these discs, okay? And they had the data on the discs of what the person was, what the program was, all that. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what's the deal with that? Is this like an upgraded form of the suit or whatnot? I mean, where's the disc at? Maybe it's computer generated now, where the disc comes out and you can just throw them like, without restriction. Whereas in the originals, you had to throw it and then grab it when it came back. Okay, so I'm kind of wondering about that. Where's his disc at? Where's his data disc at? I'm trying to see if I can find it. He might be holding it in his right hand, because I see like something in like his right hand, what looks like his right hand. That could be a disc right there. Okay, but just the design of it looks upgraded, you know. So they've definitely made some upgrades. But anyway, this is the first production still from Tron Ares. It will be the third in the Tron movie series that started in 1982 with Tron, and then 2010 with Tron Legacy, and now with Tron Ares. I really don't know what to think of this at this moment. It's just a production photo. That's all we got, and maybe a tagline. But I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open for this one, most assuredly. But yeah, this is the first production photo from the third Tron movie, Tron Ares. It's in production now, and it's expected to release sometime in 2025. Now, in our last bit of TV and movie news, we got some news that there's been a major shakeup at Lionsgate. And what this means is that we're getting the ballerina, the John Wick spinoff, but it's going to be a year later. Now, this is coming over from comicbook.com, and it talks about how the John Wick spinoff ballerina is being pushed back to 2025, and that the Crow remake is being pushed forward to 2024, and it's taking its place. And it says here, the future of the John Wick franchise is going to be a little further away than fans expected. After 4 films and a extremely limited series, the John Wick spin-off saga is going to continue with Ballerina, a film that spins off from the events of John Wick Chapter 3. The Ana de Armas spinoff has been a highly anticipated title among action fans, and Lionsgate has planned to release it this summer. On Wednesday, however, that changed as Ballerina was pushed to 2025. According to Deadline, Ballerina has abandoned the June 7th release date for a big screen debut on June 6, 2025. Some could see the delay as bad news, but this is a situation where the extra year actually seems to be a great thing. John Wick director Chad Stahelski is coming on to the spinoff to help film some additional action sequences before its release. Lynn Wiseman, Ballerina's director, is an experienced filmmaker, but only Stahelski has been able to counter the kind of action the John Wick films have become known for. He's the industry's action auteur, I guess is how you say it. And the fact going to be hands-on with Ballerina is a very good sign for the movie's future. So basically, what's going on here is that John Wick is being pushed back till 2025, and the Crow remake is going to be pushed forward to 2024. I think this is a good thing because, you know, you don't want to rush these things, okay? You really don't want to rush these things. From everything I've heard, the Crow is ready to go. I think that they figured, let's give Ballerina a little bit more time to cook. Let's do some more additional action sequences. Let's make it, up to the level that fans want. And let's bring on the Crow. Let's get it over and going. I'm not really care about the Crow right now because there's only going to be one Crow movie, and that's going to be the one with Brandon Lee. Okay, going to be honest with you. There's only going to be one Crow movie for me. And that's the one where Bruce Lee's son Brandon Lee played in it. Okay, simple as that. Okay, and the fact that they're doing a remake, and I mean, it's another thing where Hollywood can't come up with original IPs, so they have to remake old stuff and either make it worse or make it about the same level as the original. As simple as that. But yeah, the Crow remake is going to be moved up to June 7th, 2024. Ballerina, the John Wick spinoff, is going to be moved back to 2025. As a John Wick fan, I see this as a good thing. I have no problem with this. Give them more time to cook it and give us a good movie, another good movie from the John Wick franchise. So now let's focus on our video game news. And in honor of our next bit of news, I'm going red. And that is because we are getting another Terminator game. And that game is Terminator Survivors. Now, based on everything we know about this is going to be an open world Terminator game. Okay. It is coming to PS5, Xbox Series X, and Steam. It will be dropping on Steam this October, early access this October, There's no release date yet for PS5 or Xbox, but this here's the trailer. Let's check out the trailer, and I'll give you some of my thoughts and opinions on it.
5 long years in the dark of the ground. No one knew where we could be found. But all seemed lost, and we had.
Now, the first thing I'm noticing is they don't have like the high tech weaponry we see in the Terminator movies. So I'm kind of assuming this is probably taking place right after Judgment Day. Okay, before the resistance has really had a chance to form and collate around John Connor, if that's the storyline they're going with. At this point, you've got two different storylines in terms of Terminator. You've got the one with John Connor and the one without John Connor. So I'm wondering about that because, like, what storyline are they going with? But I'm going to assume they're going with the John Connor one. Okay. So at this point, it's probably a little bit after Judgment Day. The bombs have fallen, everything has fallen apart, and people are just trying to survive because you don't see the high-tech weaponry. You don't see like the huge, like, l- I guess you call them laser guns, or that sort of thing. So that's probably where I'm going with, is that this is taking place pretty close to Judgment Day.
To run from Judgment Day and its killing sun.
Now that's an original song right there because, like, I don't really remember. I don't really know of any songs that talk about Judgment Day. So they must have done an original song for this trailer alone.
Now it's time to be back in the light.
Now you look over here and you see this guy, and he's pointing his flashlight, and it looks like a Terminator, but it ain't a T-800. I think that's a T-500. But I don't see the minigun on it, so I can't really tell you that. But that does look like either a Terminator or a skeletonized body. I think it's a Terminator, though. Let me blow this up some so I can see it more. That looks okay. So that is a body. Okay, I thought it was a Terminator, but okay, but it is a body.
Back in the light. The world of Skynet will have to fight. But then new life one day we'll see. And everywhere our name will be survivors. Survivors.
Now, see this here. This looks like a T-800, but if this is immediately after Judgment Day, then how is there a T-800 there? Because the T-800s didn't come immediately after Judgment Day. They came a little bit later because they were infiltrator units. So this has got to be like a T-700s, like somewhere in between the T-500, which had the minigun, and the T-800, which had the big, like, laser guns. You had to have like a T-700 or something like that. So I think that's probably what I'm looking at here, because that looks an awfully lot like a T-800, but they weren't that close to Judgment Day. If this is taking place right immediately after Judgment Day, now this is Terminator. So maybe there could be some time travel we're looking at here, some time travel aspect we're looking at here, but I don't think so. So I have to wonder, is this a T-800 that's gone back in time? Or is this like, it's like the middle ground between a T-500 and a T-800? So that was the trailer for Terminator Survivors. So what we know about this game is that it's going to be open world, and we're already seeing that. We saw a lot of links back to the original Terminator movie. In Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Sarah Connor, was it? No, it was Terminator. It was the first Terminator. I apologize. The first Terminator. She's trying to escape her fate. She's trying to protect John Connor. And as she's driving out, heading for Mexico, she's in a red truck. And if you look here in the trailer, if I can find it here, see right there? That's a red truck, almost exactly like the one that Sarah Connor drove out on in Terminator 1. So I'm assuming at this point that with all this iconography that's linking back to the original Terminator movies, okay, maybe even Terminator 3, but it's linking back to those original movies. This is following the timeline of John Connor, okay, which I think is a good thing. If they're following the timeline of John Connor, if they're not going to take Dark Fate into account, I'm all for this. Another thing is I got a real Days Gone feel to it, and I think that's really what they're going for. They're going for Days Gone, but in the Terminator universe. Days Gone was a great game. It full on was a great game. So if they're going for that, I hope they do succeed. I am curious about the weapons though, because like you saw in this trailer, okay, like right here, and those are normal weapons, AR weapon and a shotgun. Okay, are we gonna be having the opportunity to upgrade to the laser guns, or are we just gonna be sticking with the ARs and the shotguns? How close is this taking place to Judgment Day? This looks like it's taking place pretty close to Judgment Day, okay? But at the same time, what about that Terminator at the end? If I can get it on here. At the very end here, you saw that image of the Terminator. Now, including you saw the whole targeting thing that a T-800 does. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Are we looking at a T-800 that's gone back in time to alter something, or are we looking at a middle ground between the T-500, which had a minigun, which looked like a T-800, okay, but it was bulkier, it had more armor, it had a minigun. Are we looking at that? And are we looking at the middle ground between that and a T-800, which was an infiltrator unit, which would put on human skin and infiltrate the bases to kill all the humans? Okay, so I'm kind of wondering about that. Another thing I also noticed is that all the Terminator movies, well, the majority of Terminator movies, took place in Los Angeles. Okay, this looks like it's taking place in like a more rural setting. Okay, so I think that could be kind of cool also if they take Terminator outside of the city of Los Angeles and they go and they do like another part of the Terminator story. Okay, but this Terminator unit right here has really got me wondering: are we looking at a T-800, or are we looking at something between a T-500, which had like more armor and a minigun, and a T-800, which had the laser pistols and better targeting and all that? It look. I'm going to go with the fact that this is a middle ground, like maybe a T-700 or something. Because if you look at the middle plate there, where the chest would be, it looks like it's a lot more bulkier. Okay, that could just be the reflection of the water, though. So, I mean, I really don't know, but just having that look, this looks like it could either be a T-800 that's gone back in time, or maybe they're creating a new Terminator unit just for this game that's a cross between the Terminator 500, which was a lot more bulkier, had the minigun, was basically a walking tank, and the T-800, which was more of an infiltrator unit. Maybe they're creating a new Terminator unit that's like the mix between those two, you know? And just the fact that it's even using an AR, a regular gun, tells me that we are more closer to Judgment Day than we are to the movies, to where the movies start, where you see the Terminators walking around with like giant laser guns and stuff like that. That we're more closer to Judgment Day, where they have to use the normal weapons. They have to use the regular weapons. And I'm kind of wondering, are we going to have a chance at some point to maybe that's one of the missions where we have to infiltrate a Skynet base or something to get the plans for the new guns, to maybe even steal the new guns. So I'm kind of wondering if that's a possibility. But yeah, we got our first trailer for the upcoming game, Terminator Survivors. It will come out on Steam Early Access October 24th of this year. It's expected to come out on PS5 and Xbox sometime next year, but there's no release date for it. It will not be coming to PS4 or next gen consoles. It's just another. I really want to play this. I really would love to play this. Next year when it comes out. It's just another nail in the coffin for the PS4. And if you have a PS4 like I do, time's running out until eventually the PS4 is going to go out. But yeah, Terminator Survivors comes out on Steam Early Access October 24th, and there's no release date on consoles at this time. So now our last bit of video game news. And in honor of our last bit of video game news, I'm going to choose another color. And let's go with, because it is the Mandalorian game we're talking about, let's go with blue. So there we got the blue light. And the news is this: is that the Mandalorian game developed by Respawn that was literally leaked 2 weeks ago has been canceled. And this is coming from Screen Rant. And it says here that the game was canceled because of major layoffs. That right here says EA has canceled a new Star Wars first-person shooter title that was in development at Respawn Entertainment. And if you don't know, Respawn was behind the popular Titanfall series. They're behind Apex Legends. They do Star Wars games. They do Jedi Fallen Order. They did Jedi Survivor. They're doing the sequel to Jedi Survivor. So yeah, they know how to do Star Wars games, and they know how to do shooters. Okay, but it says here EA has canceled this game, with it being focused on brand new Mandalorian character featuring a more linear level design, contrasting Respawn's open world Star Wars Jedi game. As reported by IGN, EA has announced a major restructuring that will unfortunately see approximately 670 individuals lose their jobs. And the cancellation of such titles such as Respawn's Star Wars shooter that no longer seem to fit in with the studio's plans going forward. This is the latest in a shocking wave of layoffs to hit the gaming industry, with major studios at PlayStation and Microsoft recently undergoing similar shakeups as well. And it says here that EA is going to be focusing on larger titles. It says here, as part of EA's reorganization, Respawn's linear Mandalorian shooter was canceled, with the core company reportedly planning a shift towards massive communities, live service games, and large open world games, with the reports of the Star Wars Jedi franchise continuing. So at least they're leaving Fallen Order to keep going forward. Okay, at least they're leaving it alone. But the whole reason the Mandalorian game was canceled is because Electronic Arts wants to make that money. Okay, and I get you need to make money, but there is a thin line between greed and making money. Full on will admit that there's a thin line between greed. And when I hear the term live service or bigger games or large open world games, all I hear is we want more and more money. Okay, that's literally what I hear sometimes. Okay, now there are some games that don't do that. Okay, but I can already tell you that EA is going to probably start coming out with more and more games that have microtransactions in them, that have loot boxes, that have pay to win mechanics. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Okay, and that's why I'm kind of worried about the next Battlefield game. That hasn't been announced yet, but I know that's coming out for the next Battlefield game. And if these companies keep doing this, people are going to stop playing games. It's that simple. Now, back to the Mandalorian game now. What could have been? You know what I'm saying? Like, what could have been with the Mandalorian game? Now, if we go over to Insider Gaming, we can learn some details about the canceled Mandalorian game. Okay, and they look really juicy and really good. So if you go on down here, it talks about how that it's been canceled. Okay, it says first off, it should be said that by all accounts, this game was fantastic, and that isn't just coming from developers, but everyone who had the opportunity to play the game. Feedback from playtests was always positive and surrounded by buzz, with the developers enjoying the entire process of working on the project. That being said, for whatever reason, EA felt like the game was too much of a financial risk and has decided to pull the plug. To me, that automatically tells me that this wasn't a financial risk for EA. But that what was going on was EA didn't know how to monetize this, so they cut it. Okay, it's that simple. That's literally my feelings about the whole situation right now. That the whole reason this game was canceled was because Electronic Arts did not have a way to monetize it. Okay, or maybe it did not have a big enough community. All right, but whatever. But I feel that Electronic Arts cut this game because it could not monetize it. And the only reason they didn't cut the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor sequel game, Jedi Fallen Order 3 or whatever you're going to call it, is because it has a large community and they know it's going to sell well. All right. But this game right here, I felt that they wanted to monetize it. They couldn't, so they cut it. That's my overall feeling of it. Just being straight with you. But let's keep going. It says here, okay, as previously reported, the game was set to be based on a Mandalorian bounty hunter, not believed to be the Mandalorian from the TV series, that would see the player search for bounties. So, just looking at this description right now, okay, and it says, as previously reported, the game was set to be based on a Mandalorian bounty hunter that would see the player search for bounties across the galaxy. Now, it doesn't say what type of bounty hunter you would be. I mean, you'd be Mandalorian, of course, but it does not say whether you could be male, whether you could be female. So I'm envisioning something along the lines of Division 2, where you could create your own Mandalorian bounty hunter, where you can create how your armor is going to look, how the different decals, stuff like that, where you could be male, female, how you want to sound, all that. Okay, that's what I'm envisioning. Okay, and just envisioning that makes me sadder because I really think this game had potential. All right, but let's keep on going. It says here the game started with the Den, which was the player's base of operations that contained your ship and map of the galaxy, an upgrade station, an armory, and more. It's understood that it would be here where you would select which bounties you want to pursue. The player could equip the weapons they wanted to upgrade, their armor, and then go into the ship and land on a planet where the bounty is located. All right, so already I'm seeing possibilities here. So it says here that the base of operations would contain your ship. Okay. Could you imagine if you could choose what type of ship you wanted? Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, this game was going to be set in between episodes 3 and 4. So that means that we could have had, let's see, Naboo starfighters. We could have had so many different types of ships. We could have had crosses between like Imperial ships and Old Republic ships and stuff like that. So, like, I'm kind of wondering about that. Like, what could we have had in terms of just upgrading your ship? But it says here it had an upgrade station armory. So that means you could collect weapons throughout your missions. Okay? That you could have gone on this one mission and gotten this gun and brought it back and added it to your armory. That you could have gone on this one mission and got Beskar and added that and choosing whether or not to use the Beskar to pay for upgrades or to use the Beskar to increase your armor to make you stronger. It probably had a place where you could choose what type of skills your player had. You know, was he better at marksmanship? Was he better at stealth? You know, all that. And it also had a place where you can go and get your bounties. So, like, what I'm envisioning already is that you probably had like a place where not only could you get your bounties for the Empire, but you can get your bounties for the burgeoning Republic, or not the burgeoning, but the Rebellion. You could have gotten bounties for, say, some of the crime syndicates, like the Hutts or Black Sun, something along those lines. So, so the more I read, the more it breaks my heart that we're not going to get this. And it says here, the game was not an open world and instead offered a linear level experience, but did have some larger open areas for the player to explore and find their bounties and other secrets. Combat was described as very fast paced due to the Mandalorian jetpack that allowed for vertical dashing and horizontal boosting for reaching those high to reach places. It was always also said that there was a takedown feature, which would see you character perform takedowns somewhat reminiscent of Doom, but a lot less gory, to take down enemies. Okay, so there were times where you could do like silent kills, like what you do in Call of Duty, where you do this flashy animation where you take down a guy if you take him down from behind. Okay, so already I'm loving. I wish we could have gotten this. Okay, it does not make sense why EA can this unless it's for greed. Okay, because everyone's saying this game played great, this game was doing great, and then they canned it, and the only thing I could think of was EA's greed got the better of them again. Okay, that's literally what's going on here, and it keeps on going down here, and it says the main enemies were stormtroopers who would patrol most maps as you try to complete your bounty, and has several different types that you could come to expect from a Star Wars game. Regular, shotgun, sniper, heavy, which included rockets, and more. It's also understood that the game featured boss-like enemies periodically, which would see you face AT-ST walkers, etc. Other enemies would depend on the planet you were on, but could range from gangs of outlaws to other bounty hunters who wanted to beat you to the punch. That right there tells me that we could have seen Cad Bane. Right there. Where it says other bounty hunters who wanted to beat you to the punch. I'm already seeing images of us fighting Cad Bane, of us fighting IG-88, of us fighting all those bounty hunters we saw in Empire Strikes Back, of us fighting them. So the more I read this, the more it makes me sad we're not going to get this, and the more ticked off it makes me at EA. Because this sounds like a great game. This sounds like a pretty decent game. This honestly sounds like a lot like Jedi Fallen Order. Because in Jedi Fallen Order, okay, it ain't open world where you can go wherever you want at any time. But you go to these different areas, these different planets, and you can explore and find secrets, find bounties, maybe even find clues. Like, there could have been, like, side quests from the bounty hunters guild or whatnot, where you could have found, like logs of rebellion caches or whatnot. Okay, and we're not going to get that now because EA wanted to get greedy. That's why. And it said it's believed that this game was still a ways off from release, but it's understood that the game had fairly polished vertical slice and a few other missions levels near completion. The game was in development for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. I mean, this I literally don't know what else to say about this. The more I read about this, what we could have gotten, the more ticked off I get. Because the only reason I could see them not doing this is for greed. Is because it's stated at the beginning of this video that they wanted to go to a more live service model. Okay. That tells me they wanted to make more money and they could not monetize this. Or maybe the developers didn't want to monetize this. Maybe Respawn stood up to them and said, hey, we're not putting microtransactions in this. We're keeping microtransactions out of this. And maybe EA said, okay, we're canceling it. All right. I mean, that's unless something big has happened at EA where EA can't hardly make games anymore, which I seriously doubt because they're still doing Jedi Fallen Order. Only reason I can see this not coming out is because of greed, and it's not coming out. So EA got greedy, okay, and they could not figure out a way to monetize this, or maybe the developers said, "No, you're not going to monetize this," and EA said, "Okay, we're canceling it," and laid off all those people. And that's what's going on in the industry right now. There's huge shakeups in the industry right now, and they're all paying the price for being greedy. Okay, and that includes PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation fan. Okay, I absolutely love PlayStation, but there have been times where they have allowed some greedy stuff to go on their networks. Call of Duty is one of them, and I bought Call of Duty. I bought it when it was on sale, but I still bought Call of Duty, and I still think Call of Duty is greedy. Okay, full on will admit that. I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm telling you the truth. So this is another example of these video game companies getting greedy and us paying the price for it. Because this game could have been something real special. Okay. This game could become something real special. And now we're never going to know what could have been. But at least we got some evidence of what could have been from Insider Gaming At least we knew that people liked the game, but that for all intents and purposes, from my personal opinion, EA got greedy and gamers are going to be less for it because we're never going to see this game come out. Now let's look at our anime news. And we got some anime news this week. And in honor of our next bit of news concerning anime, we are going with the yellow light. And that is because we finally got an official trailer for One Punch Man Season 3. Now, this trailer is in Japanese. There's no release date yet, but it's been quite a while since we've heard of One Punch Man at all. It's been a couple of years, okay? But the last time I remember One Punch Man, how it ended, was Phoenix Man took Garo to see Orochi. I think that's what his name was. Orochi. I believe that's what his name was. And that, Garo wanted to be a villain and all this other stuff. So let's look at the One Punch Man Season 3 trailer. And it is in Japanese, but I'll try to give you some of my thoughts and opinions.
彼はリミッターが外れていた。どんなに努力を重ねても生物の成長には制限が設けられている。強力すぎる。
Now there we see Garo. He's a former student of White Fang, but now he wants to become a villain. So that's him right there fighting. He's not as strong or as technically proficient as White Fang, but he still is pretty decent.
力は持ち主に負担がかかり不具合を生じさせる。あるいは品性を失った怪人のように暴走を起こすこともある。
Now I don't recognize who he's fighting, but like I said, it's been a couple of years since we've heard anything from One Punch Man. Okay, so I don't recognize who he's fighting, but the guy behind him looks like that villain from season 1. With all the genetic anomalies and stuff that Saitama and Genos fought. He looks like that creature, so I'm wondering if we're going to see him come back.
だから個々の生物は生存目的や理性を失わない範囲内でしか成長できないように神に設計されている。それがリミッターだ。だが彼は違った。平凡な趣旨。
And there is Saitama. This is before he became One Punch Man. This looks like him when he started training and stuff.
平凡な生活、何の素質も持たないただの一般人。それが努力のみで限界の扉をこじ開け。
And now there he is, full on One Punch Man, no hair, full strength, all that.
リミッターを破壊した。
最強対最強。
So we're getting the Saitama versus Garo fight, I'm thinking. And, I can't read Japanese, but that's what my thinking is. We're going to get the Saitama versus Garo fight. And oh my goodness, please let it be on that level at the end of One Punch Man Season 1 where he fought the Destroyer. Oh, please let it be on that level. That animation with One Punch Man going up against that armored alien. Oh, that was so beautiful and so gorgeous. And I know now it's with another studio. When it came out with Season 2, it shifted studios. So the animation was a little bit different. But please, if for no other reason, give us a great Garo versus Saitama fight.
アニメ「ワンパンマン」第3期制作進行中。
So there you have it. That was One Punch Man season 3 trailer. It's not in subtitled yet. There is no release date for it yet. But yeah, like, I really want to see One Punch Man season 3. It's good to see them bringing it back. I just have a lot of questions, but until I get like a English subtitle, I'm not going to ask them because it probably was revealed. A lot of stuff was revealed in the voices and stuff. But man, I want to see this so bad because it's been so long since we've seen One Punch Man. I absolutely love One Punch Man. I think One Punch Man is a great anime. I love the animation in season 1. Season 2 animation was okay. You didn't have a whole lot of those big moments like you had in season 1. But I think with Garo, we're finally getting a villain that can finally stand up to Saitama. Okay. I think we're finally getting that type of villain. Something that goes beyond, was it Dragon? Yeah, I think it's going on beyond a dragon level threat. So yeah, I think Saitama is finally going to face someone who could give him that thrill of combat. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not had that thrill of combat since he faced off against the Destroyer in season 1. So I think Garo is finally going to be able to do that to him. But One Punch Man season 3 is in production. They dropped the trailer. That was the trailer for it. It's not in English yet. I can't wait till it comes out in English, and I can't wait to see the series because it's going to be real good to see One Punch Man again. Now, in our last bit of anime news and in news in general this week, we got our first image of what is to be Gun Gale Online 2. Now, if you don't know what Gun Gale Online is, it is a spinoff of the popular Sword Art Online series. Okay. Now, season 1 came out a while back. I think it's been about 5 years since we've had season 1. And now we're getting season 2 of Gun Gale Online. And this image right here shows that it is being made. Now, it just shows Lin and Pio, Fukuza, and I can't think of that last guy's name, but it does say that it is going to premiere this year in 2024. I don't really have much to say because we only got an image of it, okay? But just some of the things I want to see in Gun Gale Online 2 are I would like to see more characters from Sword Art Online crossover, okay? I think that with Sword Art Online being like the core of how this got started, I would like to see maybe Sinon, maybe Kirito, Asuna, some more characters from Sword Art Online crossing over into Gun Gale Online. Okay. I think it would be really cool if like they all had like the battle royale. Like last season, at the end of last season, it ended with a battle royale version of the game. I would like to see that. Where maybe, Lin and Pio went and challenged Kirito and Asuna and Sinon to a battle royale with other players. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would like to see something like that. I think we need to see more of Sword Art Online characters coming over into Gun Gale Online. Not that they don't need them. Gun Gale Online works great by itself. I would just like to see that because I think that would really connect both Sword Art Online and Gun Gale Online. Because right now it just feels like they're two separate entities coming off the same basic backstory. And I think that would be a kind of a sweet way to connect the two. Maybe have a scene where Lin is talking to Sinon, or Fukuza is talking to Asuna or Kirito. Have just like I'm not asking for much. I know I said earlier. I would like to see like a battle royale. Yeah, I would absolutely. I don't expect to, but I would absolutely like to see something where maybe Kirito and Asuna and Sinon join like a battle royale on Gun Gale Online against Lin and Pito and Fukuza, and them, and to see who could be better. You know what I'm saying? I'm not expecting to see that, but I would like to see that. But it could be something as small as maybe Lin talking to Sinon, or maybe she's talking to Asuna and Kirito and Sinon while they're in Gun Gale Online one day. Something along those lines. Something small. You know what I'm saying? Now, if they did something big like the Battle Royale thing, I would totally be down for it. Okay. But I think the only way the Battle Royale thing could work is if Lynn won. Because it is her series. So if she won, I think that would establish her as being the best player in the game. Now, she could probably lose in like Sword Art Online or Alpha Online, but in Gun Gale Online, she's known as the Pink Devil. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think that if they did do that, she should win. But it could be something as small as them just having a conversation. You know, it could be something that small, and it would really link Sword Art Online with Gun Gale Online. I think that's something that really needs to happen because right now it just feels like they're two separate entities. But yeah, I full on enjoyed Gun Gale Online. I absolutely love it. I want to see a trailer for it. I mean, if it's coming out in 2024, I don't think it would come out in the summer. I think more than likely what's going to happen is we're probably going to get a trailer sometime in the summer, and then either in the fall or winter is when Gun Gale Online will drop. Okay, but the fact that they're already releasing a image of the main characters tells me they are gearing up for the series. Um, I just wish they would have given us a release date. You know, it says 2024. Okay, it says 2024 on here, but it doesn't really give us a release date. And I really would like to know a release date because you've got My Hero coming out this year. Um, Gun Gale Online's coming out sometime this year. Um, I don't know if One Punch Man is going to come out this year, but right now My Hero is the only thing really coming out this year. Well, no, My Hero and Legend Rising of the Zero Hero is coming out too. Oh, and Demon Slayer also. So 2024 is beginning to look a little cramped. So I just want to know when this is coming out, so that way I can prepare for it and get ready to watch it and all that. What channels is it coming on? Is it going to come on Crunchyroll? Is it going to come on Hulu? Are we talking same day from Japan, or are we going to have to wait a week? I mean, something. I would like to know a little bit more information instead of an image. But I'll take what I can get at this moment. Gun Gale Online is coming back. It's going to happen sometime this year, and I honestly can't wait for it. So that was your geek report for the week of February the 26th through March 4th, 2024. Just to kind of talk about what we all talked about. Over in TV and movie news, Tron Ares, the third Tron movie, released a production photo this past week. The John Wick spinoff movie Ballerina has been delayed 1 year to June 6, 2025. Over in gaming news, we're getting an open world Terminator game called Terminator Survivors, and it dropped a trailer this past week. And also, the Respawn Mandalorian game has been canceled by both Respawn and EA. And finally, in anime news, we got a One Punch Man Season 3 trailer. And Gun Gale Online, the popular spinoff to the anime Sword Art Online series, has dropped its first image for Season 2. I hope y'all enjoyed the way I was doing the lighting. This is going to be something I'm going to be trying out for the next couple weeks just to see how it all works out. If it doesn't work out too well, I won't do it, but I'm going to just try to check it out and see how it all works out. But look, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Check out my other video sites where you'll find other videos with book reviews, TV and movie reviews, whatever. And check out my social media as well. I will see y'all in the next video and in the next stream. Laters.